Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Baina Midday News. I'm Khadija Tukubra Keilani. Coming up this afternoon, the Nurses and Midwifery Council, Ghana and Ghanaian Diaspora Alliance collaborate to attract Ghanaian nurses abroad to return home. Also, Rotational Nurses and Midwives Association threatens strike over allowances. And in politics, NPP and NDC shoot down Afarijan proposal against election petitions. Remember, we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at Baina TV. We'll be back shortly with the details. Thank you for staying with us. Now moving on to our first story. The Nurses and Midwifery Council, Ghana and the Ghanaian Diaspora Nursing Alliance are collaborating to attract second-generation Ghanaian nurses back to Ghana. The organization signed a memorandum of understanding on Tuesday, January 10, to remove barriers confronting Ghanaian nurses in the execution of their duties in order to encourage the return of skilled nurses to contribute to the Ghana's healthcare system.
The Nurses and Midwifery Council, NMC Ghana, signed an MOU with the Ghanaian Diaspora Nursing Alliance, GDNA. And basically, this MOU is about collaboration for especially second-generation nurses and nurses who were not even trained in Ghana to return to the country and register with the Nurses and Midwifery Council, NMC Ghana. The 2-year MOU also aims to inform and incentivize foreign-trained Ghanaian nurses to contribute to training institutions, universities, health centers, and research initiatives. The collaboration aims to reduce stringent registration requirements, acknowledging the value contribution of Ghanaian nurses worldwide. Yvonne Komodora-Mensah, president and co-founder of the GDNA, also stressed the aim of easing barriers for returning nurses, addressing the annual healthcare challenge posed by Ghanaian nurses leaving the country. According to her, the collaboration spanned research, evidence-based practice, and capacity building, with GDNA's commitment to supporting nursing education in Ghana through fundraising and grants. She added that this collaboration not only facilitates the return of skilled nurses, but also positions the NMC to adopt best practice and stay abreast of new trends in healthcare delivery. Under the agreement, returning nurses are expected to be exempted from entrance exams, streamlining and registration process. Mrs. Philomena Woolley, acting registrar of the Nurses and Midwifery Council, emphasized the collaboration's significance for second-generation nurses and those trained abroad, promoting their registration with the NMC Ghana.
Still on nurses, leaders of the Rotational Nurses and Midwives Association have announced the group's intention to embark on a strike if the government fails to pay their allowances. Speaking in an interview with a sister station, the national president of the Rotational Nurses and Midwives Association, Jasper Joka, expressed disappointment in the government's failure to pay them.
According to the association, the government's silence on the payment of their allowances is a cause for concern. He said there is no financial clearance for the rotation nurses. they have worked diligently for 6 months on an empty stomach, and the government is quiet. So, they are sending a letter of reminder to the Ministry of Health, urging the ministry to respond to them. He said they are unhappy working for 6 months on an empty stomach, and not even their names have been taken. He added that they are suffering, their members are suffering, and on the side of the student trainees, they are younger individuals who are in the profession and are learners. These people have been promised some allowances, and this money has not been paid to them. So they still stand by their decision to go on strike if nothing is done by the end of this month, January 2024.
Meanwhile, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, Kofi Ofosu-Nkansah, has been released. Mr. Ofosu-Nkansah, who is also contesting against the incumbent Ayimedu entry for the Asante Akim Central Parliamentary seat, was arrested by the Special Prosecutor on Wednesday, January 10, for allegedly distributing money to delegates ahead of the New Patriotic Party's parliamentary primaries.
Felix Amache, the New Patriotic Party's Asante Akim Central Constituency Secretary, revealed in an interview with the media in Accra that the report of money distribution was brought to the attention of the Special Prosecutor by Nkansah political rival, Mr. Ayimadu Antwi. Contrary to the accusation, the Member of Parliament for Asante Akim Central, Kwame Ayimadu Antwi, denied any knowledge of the arrest when speaking to the media. He said he has no clue about what the secretary is alleging, and it is about time for them to do the elections, and the primaries are still around the corner, and this is not a do-or-die affair. He accused the secretary for siding with one of the contenders and has been speaking passionately, and there is pain in the constituency speaking to delegates. He further said that if they are considering reporting anybody to the OSB, Felix Amake should have been the person reported, because Felix Amake was on record saying on Facebook that his preferred candidate has been paying 500,000 Ghana cedis and promised to pay 1 million Ghana cedis to delegates.
And in business, Ghana's inflation dropped from 26.4% to 23.2%, resulting in a reduction for the 5th consecutive month. This means that in December 2023, the general price level was 23.2% higher than in December 2022.
According to the figures from the Ghana Statistical Service, food inflation drove down the overall inflation with a rate of 28.7% in December 2023, compared with 32.2% in November 2023. The non-food inflation also went down to 18.7% in December 2023, from 21.7% in November 2023. Inflation for locally produced items stood at 23.8%, while inflation for imported items stood at 21.9%. On the regional front, the Eastern region recorded the highest food inflation rate of 51.3%, while the Upper East recorded the lowest food inflation rate of 18.8%. Greater Accra placed 4th among the 16 regions, recording a food inflation rate of 22.2%.
And now in politics, both the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party have expressed disagreement with some assertion made by the former chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Kojo Aferichan. Dr. Aferichan on Monday suggested the imposition of sanctions for election petitions that do not succeed in courts to prevent their proliferation and ensure they are not used merely to satisfy financiers and supporters of political parties and politicians.
At a Consultation Day public lecture On Monday, Dr. Afari Jayan pointed beyond the disturbing trend of election losers alleging manipulation and refusing to accept results. This, he said, could be a result of the failure to instill democratic principles widely across society. He said that in order to prevent what he described as improbable election petitions from becoming a norm, election petitions that do not succeed should attract punitive sanctions. Reacting to this statement, the director of elections for the governing New Patriotic Party, MPP, Evans Nimaku, said he disagreed with the former EC boss, saying such a proposal would constitute gagging of political parties and candidates. According to him, the window of election petitions has been provided to ensure that candidates who have grievances get their justice. On his part, the Director of Legal Affairs for the National Democratic Congress, NDC, Ejisi Tamoklo, disagreed with Dr. Afari Jayan's comment, noting that only 2 out of 8 elections held since the inception of the Fourth Republic have been addressed at the Supreme Court, something he believes ought to be applauded. According to him, punishing unsuccessful petitioners appearing before the Supreme Court for presidential elections will discourage them from using the judicial process. This, according to him, may lead to protests in the streets as an alternative means of expressing dissatisfaction.
Finally, in sports, the spokesperson for the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Charles Amofa, says the budget allocated to Black Stars for the 2023 African Cup of Nations will be made public after the conclusion of the tournament in Ivory Coast. In an interview with the media, Amofa emphasized that the budgetary details for the continental showpiece are still a work in progress and will be made available after the campaign.
According to him, what the Blasters need at the moment is the support of Ghanaians. He said the comprehensive breakdown of the budget, which is a work in progress, will be made public once the tournament concludes. Coach Chris Hilton recently completed preparations for the tournament with a full squad in attendance following the arrival of star midfielder Mohamed Kudus. The 4-time African champions concluded their training camp in Kumasi on Tuesday, have arrived in Ivory Coast, the host nation for AFCON 2023, to kickstart their campaign. In a special sent-off event in Kumasi, President Nana Akufo-Addo met the team and encouraged them to deliver their best performance to end Ghana's 42-year wait for a fifth AFCON title. The players were treated to entertainment from Afro dancehall superstar Stonebwoy during the event. Ghana, aiming to break a 42-year AFCON title drought, will kick off their campaign against Cape Verde on Sunday, January 14, 2024. Subsequent Group B features include clashes against Egypt on January 18 and Mozambique on January 22nd. Despite winning the AFCON title 4 times, with the last round in 1982, Ghana has faced disappointment in recent finals. The team hopes to rewrite history in Ivory Coast and secure a coveted fifth AFCON title.
And this is it for our midday news. I'm Khadija Tukubra Keilani. Many thanks for doing the watching. Have a good afternoon.